Robots Radio presents
Fresh Tomatoes, the movie podcast.
I'm not usually a hat fan, but wow.
Jeg vil ikke være en dagger.
I'm really sipping on that dumb bitch juice today, and
Yeah, I am. But you know what? Someday I just might grow out of that. But you will never stop being a jerk.
All chocolate cakes are good. You're a fascist.
it's hideous.
It's horrible.
It's home. Angry white boy, let's go! And welcome to Fresh Tomatoes, the movie podcast. The podcast that says it's in LA, but is actually definitely not. That's Chad Ekowitz.
And that's Simone LaRue. Goodness, you're revealing all of our secrets, Simone. How could you? How could you possibly do that?
Guys, it might as well be time for us to we're not in LA.
Oh, I mean, I'm really sorry. I'm really sorry to reveal it to everyone.
Yeah.
As you could probably, some of the you keen-eyed listeners could probably maybe tell from the backgrounds if you watch the YouTube videos.
From our accents.
You know, the fact that we say the weather in the specific countries we're in. But you know what? I think, yeah, it's been a good ruse. Thank you for joining us on this tale of LA.
This cleverly constructed facsimile of LA.
I must say, I mean, I think this is it's not the second week in a row, but it's in the last month. It's the second time that we visited our university through the movies that we've done. And
what
honestly,
a pleasure.
Our university is freaking gorgeous. I'm really proud of where we went.
Yes. It looks so posh when they put it in movies. And then there we were looking like trash.
Exactly. We were proper garbage gremlins when we were there, hoodies, greasy hair. I got very fat.
I did not look cute in university. I think I only figured out how to dress once I got out of university. And maybe even then it's touch and go.
Oh, don't say that. I mean, gosh, if any of our YouTube, if any of you were watching on the YouTube, you should see Simone. Her hair is so
you guys
luscious.
See my shoulders up.
You could be wearing like the most spectacular like tartan kilt.
Yeah.
Who knows? You might not even
Who's to say?
Who's to say? And speaking of, wonderful dresses and posh looking schools, what movies are we doing this week, Simone?
Guys, you know what movies we're doing this week? We're doing all the kissing booth movies. It had to happen eventually. And here we are. And
here we are on the other side of having watched 3 kissing booth movies in a week, which I don't know is a healthy thing. What do you think that surgeon generals would ever approve of something?
Would recommend?
Like this?
Yeah. I think it depends on how you're absorbing these movies. If you're absorbing them as an educational experience in relationships, then definitely no.
God, no.
If you're absorbing them as maybe a beautiful tour of Cape Town's coastline scenery, yes.
I like that. So it's actually it's a travel story.
This is travel guide. If you want to
lovely.
pretend you're in LA on Instagram, but you're actually, you don't have the budget, Cape Town's where to go.
Cape Town's there, you guys. Pretend you go to a very fancy private school, head up to Smuts, you're gold.
Head up to Smuts. Fun fact, my sister was actually an extra in the first Kissing Booth movie.
Really? That's awesome.
Yeah.
She's done some good extra stuff.
I don't think she actually has her own frame in this movie, unlike the Cheer Smacked movie that we watched before, but she was in the beach scene in the first movie.
Oh, okay. Lovely. That's really nice.
The back.
Yeah. Yeah, and it wasn't what she's not big enough to come on this podcast as being not an in-frame extra in that. So yeah, she can she needs to do better.
I saw this TikTok of this guy who's talking about he's a background actor. And he said, no, we're basically like furniture, except furniture doesn't have dreams.
Oh. That's really sad, but also super true. Oh, damn. Oh, that's sad.
Yeah, so my sister's an extra. She got really up close to Joey King.
Oh, wow.
And said she was tiny and very nice. So.
Oh, that's really nice. I can imagine that she would be both very tiny and very nice.
I think she's very small.
Yeah. Like, I mean, these movies, it's spectacular. I really feel sorry for what's his name, Noah, who is played by Jacob Elordi, because he's a very tall man.
He's a
Or
tall boy, and then he was
even if
made
he's
to
not
date a very
tall.
small girl.
Yeah, the back problems that he must have got from these three movies,
my
man,
God.
from reaching down and kissing her all the time. Good Lord.
I mean, in like all the kissing scenes, they're like on a couch, or like I think
Yes.
in the first kiss scene where they kiss, they like both kneel down just to like make it easier on his neck. Which brings me to my public service announcement. Short girls, stop stealing all the tall guys.
Yeah, it's a good point. It's a very, very good point.
Us tall girls are out here just wanting to wear heels.
Just stay in your lane, guys. Just, it's not that hard.
Stay in your lane.
Date short guys like me. Like, this is how it works.
You're not even that short. You're like my height. I'm
average height. For a guy, I'm average height. I wouldn't call myself tall. You know, but like frame of reference. But yes, I completely agree with you. Yeah, stop doing that. Stop doing that. We understand
Short
that
girls.
your pocket size, you're adorable, but come on.
You're so cute.
Stop it.
Here's us gangly tall girls intimidating men.
I do love your PSA. It's the least selfish PSA, or the most selfless PSA, because you are happily in a relationship, but it's just for all your you know, fellow
it's
gangly
all my fellow
girls.
tall girls. Yeah.
That's really selfless of you. That's wonderful.
Thank you.
You know,
I think
completely contradictory to everything that we've learned from these movies, which
Yes.
I mean is to just be as selfish as you possibly can, you guys.
And
Guys.
cry when you don't get your way, or you face
Exactly.
the consequences of your own actions.
Damn straight. Well,
I've
look,
seen Joey King crying in so many different situations in these movies.
and no one calls her out on her bullshit. It drives me nuts.
Not a single person.
But
No.
she's not the most selfish one, and we'll get into it. But before we do get into it, tell us, what are you drinking?
Chardonnay. It's not a good
Ooh.
one, to be honest.
Oh, okay, fair.
But it is heavily iced, so that's the same thing.
Mhm,
I did, full disclosure, day drink before this, so I'm in a great mood.
Yeah, you got a happy
And-
buzz on, and you're just carrying that through, which is lovely. And you got a big old glass of water there, which should help.
Yeah. No, I'm not an idiot.
Yeah. This isn't going to be the New Year's episode all over again. That was fun. I don't remember half of that. I'm
It's
very excited to
raucous.
see what happens this year. Very, very exciting. Right. Yes, I am drinking, and I'm so happy about this. So I'm just drinking a nice whiskey, a nice honey
Lovely.
Jack Daniel's whiskey. But with
That's
the
a
move
favorite
and
of yours.
I know, it's so good. Smoky, honey.
It's so tasty.
So tasty. But because I've moved out and I've been able to like unpack all of my shit, I got out of storage my glass that I got from the Isle of Arran up in Scotland, and there's a whiskey distillery there, and I bought this delightful looking glass. It's a proper whiskey glass. So I'm being all fancy with my
Look
fancy
at
whiskey glass.
him.
Notes of smoky whispers.
Tastes like whiskey.
I can almost see the plains of Tennessee out before me. All the bison.
All the bees that made the honey.
Exactly. I taste it. So
Beautiful.
we decided that you are going to do number 1 and 2, and then I shall finish us up with number 3.
Yeah.
Which I'm actually very excited for, because oh boy, do I have some feelings about number 3.
I have a lot of feelings. Oh.
Yes.
I think in the interest of time, what I might do is just blend 1 and 2 together.
I think that's fair.
Because they're a little ridiculous.
Yeah, honestly, and you can't really
Good?
separate them. Yeah, do it.
No.
Do it.
Okay. Here we go. Okay. Elle Evans, played by Joey King, is your average dorky teenage girl who's going to school in LA. She has her absolute best friend in the entire world, Lee Flynn, played by Joel Courtney. The two of them are basically inseparable. They were born on the same day at the same time. Their moms were best friends, so they like basically grew up together. They're basically siblings. And as they grew up as best friends, they made a whole list of rules, like best friend rules that the others should follow. And most of them are fairly innocuous, like always be there for your best friend, always celebrate their wins. There's also some very specific stuff, like you can't date your best friend's relatives and stuff like that. This becomes a problem because Lee's brother, Noah Flynn, is a stone cold hottie. It is their junior year in high school. And Elle is trying to get out there, trying to get into dating, and she's just not having any luck.
No.
She shows up to school in a very inappropriately short skirt on the first day. Not her fault. It's just the only skirt she had available. A guy touches her butt, and Noah beats the shit out of him. And she's like, whoa, what's this about? The dude who touches her butt asks her on a date, and she's like, yeah. And then the dude stands her up, and she's like, why did that happen? And he's like, no. Noah threatens to beat the with you, and she's very angry, so she does a lot of very over dramatic stuff to, like, I guess get back at him or show him that she's like her own person or whatever. At the same time, she, as one of the heads of the school dance club, is running a kissing booth. Club. Yes, it was the dance club. She's running a kissing booth for the school carnival, and she's desperately trying to get like any of the hot people in school on board. It doesn't super happen, but she promises it'll happen. Anyway, she shows up to the kissing booth. She realizes no one else is gonna like do it, so she volunteers for this kissing booth. This is obviously pre-COVID, guys. And who kisses her but Noah, who she's had a crush on but kept a distance, and now they can't deny their lust for each other anymore. So they begin secretly dating so that they won't upset Lee. The reason she thinks it'll really upset Lee, besides their like best friend rules, is that Lee's felt like he's always in the shadow of his very cool, very smart older brother. So yeah, they carry on in secret for a while, but obviously Lee finds out eventually, and she's like, okay, Noah, like we can't be together, especially because he's going off to Harvard in a couple of weeks. So she's like, no, we need to break up. And then she realizes she's very sad, and she tells Lee, oh my God, I'm very sad. And then he's like, okay, you can date my brother, I guess, which is so kind of him. And then the first movie ends with Lee giving his blessing for her and Noah to be together. They kiss. Noah goes off to Harvard, but they're like committed to a long distance relationship. Yeah. That gets us to the second kissing booth. Okay.
You can do it. You're doing so well. I know this is like the halfway point in the marathon, but you're doing so good. You're doing so good.
It's the kissing booth part 2. There are several different things happening at once. First of all, Elle is trying to maintain a long distance relationship with Noah. It's kind of tricky, but mainly because he's got a super beautiful, sophisticated, talented friend named Chloe, who she's very jealous earring under his bed while she's visiting him, and she's like, oh, he's definitely cheating on me, but Noah's like, definitely not, and she's like, okay, I believe you, but she doesn't. And then at the same time, Lee has a girlfriend. I will find her name. Lee has a girlfriend, Rachel, played by Megan Young. She's also like, listen, you spend weeks with her about like giving us some space, and he's like, totally, and then he doesn't do that. At the same time, Elle is like figuring out, because she and Lee promised to go to UC Berkeley together, but Noah's like, hey, what if you came to Boston and lived with me? And she's like, oh, that's also a great idea. So she's applying to universities at both places, and then she realizes that university costs money, actually.
What's crazy? I mean,
so she, to raise money to help pay towards her college fund, enters a DD or dance. I call it Dance Revolution. I don't know if that's very.
I would have called it Dance Revolution. I mean,
yeah.
that's gonna
while
be
she's
it,
training
right?
up, Lee finds an excuse to not do it with her, so she has to do it with the hot new guy in school, Marco Pena, played by Taylor Zakar Perez, who is very hot and very in love with her. The two of them practicing, and sort of a friendship blossoms there, all while she's experiencing like trust issues with Noah. And it all kind of comes to a head when Lee still hasn't told his girlfriend Rachel that he didn't give any speech at all to Elle about her leaving them alone. So Rachel's like, why the fuck are you still like C blocking us all the time? And Elle's like, what do you mean? And then at the same time, she's very upset with Noah. So obviously she kisses Marco in front of everybody. Noah sees, Lee sees. He's not so mad about his brother as he is about what's he mad about again? Something.
He's basically like, I think he's mad like that.
Oh, he's mad that she was applying to colleges in Boston.
Yes.
She didn't tell him, because obviously they promised each other when they were 6 years old to go to the same university. And yeah, Ella's very sad. But everything resolves pretty quickly. Obviously Noah isn't cheating on her. He's like head over heels for her. Chloe's just a very good friend of his. She's like, oh, I got onto the waiting list for both universities, so who's to say? But it turns out she's not on the waiting list. She got into both, and that leads us into part 3, which we're not going to talk about yet. Oh, and like because she kisses Marco, but like her and Noah kind of make up, and Marco is sad.
Yeah.
Oh, and she wins the competition, so college is covered. She's fine.
She's good. That competition smashed hard. Like that Dance Dance Revolution was
$60,000 for Harvard.
That's exactly how much Harvard costs. $60,000. It's surprisingly affordable. It's a really surprisingly affordable class.
I can't. Okay. So yeah, that's Kissing Booth part 1 and part 2.
Yes, and then we'll lead up to 3 in a second. But before that, tell us what is. You can choose. I'll allow an election here. If you want to do 2 cliffhangers, one from either movie, or if you just want to do 1 cliffhanger, it's completely.
I just want to do 1 cliffhanger from the first one. I tried to pick like a perfectly cringy piece of dialogue because it's pretty rough. I don't remember it, but I remember seeing it. It's when she's in trouble for wearing a short skirt to school and Noah beating someone up, and she's having some sort of like snappy dialogue with Lee while they're in the principal's office. Yes. All such painful dialogue.
It's spectacular.
It really, after series a lot of shit because it's a fan fiction and it feels like a fan fiction, and it's very silly, but at least it knows what it is. Like at least it knows it's quite silly, whereas these movies actually take themselves quite seriously when they're quite cringe and quite silly.
Yes, absolutely. Like, there is no sort of whimsy, really. I mean, they try to inject an awful lot of whimsy into it, and it's like, oh, we're best friends, and like, look at how witty repartee, and we're quirky, and this is all fun. And to be fair, with what's her name, Joey King. She is a very whimsical human being, and so like having her as the main automatically sort of allows you to have a lot of fun with it and to just like go a bit nuts with it. But yeah, like it was all very manufactured. You could really tell that it was manufactured, and just somehow to bang out 3 of these is damn impressive, really. It speaks to how much surplus and ridiculous money Hollywood has, that they can just be like, yeah, fuck it, let's just burn money.
Also, I feel like they keep, the title of the movie is Kissing Booth, so they have to keep bringing it back to the Kissing Booth, and they really force that, because she's funniest. Like at the end of the first movie, she's like, and it all happened because of a kissing booth, and it's like, but not really. Like your crush on Noah was pretty ongoing, and like this weird codependent friendship with Lee, whatever, was always going to be a problem. Yes. I mean, the kissing booth was just the one culminating event, but it would have happened eventually. Like, this didn't just
Exactly.
happen because of a kissing booth.
No. And again, they shoehorn it straight into number 2 as well. It's sort of like you really didn't need it whatsoever in number 2. And they were just like, oh, we need to do the charity thing again. Oh, how did we possibly forget the thing that we did so flippin' well at last year? Okay,
Yeah,
kissing
and the whole
booth.
school is so horny, so we'll just
Oh my
do a
gosh.
kissing booth.
What do you
Okay.
how do you feel about kissing booths? Like, what is your opinion on kissing
They're
booths?
disgusting. They're
Yeah,
so
thank you.
disgusting. They're teenagers. They're minors.
Mm-hmm.
And they just have to kiss whoever like pays money. That's disgusting.
It's a really, really sort of open world into sort of sex work and that kind of thing, and exchanging money for sexual favors and things like that. It's plus, like, I mean, look, we're all got very different values now in a post-COVID world.
Yeah.
And I think COVID was the death of the kissing booth industry forever.
I hope so.
Hopefully.
I hope so.
Yes. But yeah, just from like a logical point of view, that is very unsanitary. You can literally see the guy standing in front of you and the guys behind you all in the line to kiss this one person
alone.
Grim, the breath.
It's grim.
It upsets my soul. Yes, I'm glad that you weren't like, I like kissing booths, I like the idea.
Love a kissing booth. No, it's disgusting. It's a gross premise.
Yes, it is more gross than ball pits, and ball pits notoriously have like needles at the bottom of them. Like, I would rather.
Because I promise you, if you are on duty at a kissing booth, it's not your best friend's hot older brother that's the one making out with you.
No, it's never that way. It wouldn't. No, I think what's worse about this fucking kissing booth that they do is it's blindfolded. That's so fucked up. Like, I mean, there are literal laws against that. Like, that is a form of sexual assault.
Yeah,
like it's really
like a lack
gross.
of consent. Okay, but
Anyway.
Moving on from that, because actually the kissing booth is actually a very small part of the plot, no matter how much they try to say it's like quite crucial.
Yes.
Where would you like to start here?
I think we need to start on exactly what these movies are based on, which is the relationships between the three people, between Noah, Lee, and Elle, in the fact that toxic, like Chernobyl level toxic.
So these are all incredibly wealthy, privileged people who. Even Elle, like, they're like, oh, Elle has to work a part-time job over the summer to pay for Harvard, and we're supposed to feel bad for her.
Yeah, we're like, oh, she's super poor.
Like, look at her house. It's in Bombay.
She's gorgeous. But she's poor because she can only afford one Porsche.
Her dad could only buy her one small car.
Yeah.
So it's all these like incredibly privileged kids with their very rich kid problems. Like the fact that in the second movie she's like, oh, I have to choose between UC Berkeley and Harvard.
Oh my god, it's like, these are not problems. Could you imagine?
The whole central conflict in the first movie is that, and that's a continuous theme through these movies, is that Lee and Noah hate each other.
Yes, they really do. Their not
relationship
talk.
Is never resolved.
No, there is no good conclusion with their relationship. They are just so horrible. And no
one ever treats it like a problem. No one's like, hey, you should maybe work things out because you clearly resent your brother for being hotter than you. Everyone just kind of takes it. They're like, oh, that's what Noah's like. Oh, that's what he's like.
Boys will be boys. Just no.
They hate each other.
Like, it's not even like a cute, like, sort of brotherly hate. Like, they genuinely cannot stand each other.
They hate each other.
It's awkward. It's really awkward.
And then, so yeah, apparently they made these best friend rules when they were 6. These
Yes.
very oddly specific
Very
best
specific,
friend
like
rules.
a lawyer's wet dream level of specificity at 6 years old.
And one of the rules is, oh, you can't date the relative of one of your bestie. And it's like,
Mhm.
wow, how did you come up with that rule? Because obviously, Lee, you couldn't date any of Elle's relatives because she doesn't have any.
Yeah.
So
That's
this
very
is very
specific.
specifically geared
Yeah.
towards your brother who you resent.
Yeah, absolutely. It's so weird. Like it's very controlling of these rules. Like, yeah, it's really cute
Lee
being like,
is the villain of this whole
Oh.
series. I'm gonna put
Oh
it
my
up
God.
at the top. Lee is the
Lee is
worst.
the worst human being on the planet. I mean, I want to speak about it for number 3, but like we'll just mention it now. Like when he finds out that Elle is going to Harvard, straight off the bat, he just freaks the fuck out. Like
He's
he is
such a baby.
he is unacceptably angry at Elle for going to Harvard. Like
When he finds out that she's just applying to other schools as backups to
Yes.
UC Berkeley, he's
Yes.
fucking furious with her.
Yeah, he is a bad friend. Like
And do you want to talk about what a bad boyfriend he is to Rachel in the second movie? Can we
Yes. Oh my God.
'Cause-
Okay, so yes.
just
Like-
please.
Yes, no, absolutely. So like instead of just being like completely honest with her and just being like, right, okay, Elle's going through a bad time, but yes, I will speak to her because yes, this is our relationship, and yes, friendships are very important, but when we have this like toxic
Yeah.
level of not being able to be apart from each other, that is very problematic. And it's especially like really problematic because in the first one, he's like, oh, I will always choose boobs over you, which I mean is a throwaway joke, but like you kind of get
Yeah.
the point. Like he's willing to do that. And then in the second one, he like completely flips to just show how sort of flippant he is, and he does whatever is in his best interests. So he's clearly
He's just out to have a good time.
Yeah, he's very bored of his girlfriend because she's not Elle and like quirky and does these quirky fun things with her. So he wants to keep her around and then fucking lie about it. Like, what a diabolical asshole.
And it's not even that, right? Because like I feel like his girlfriend is made out to be such a bitch.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
But she's asking very reasonable
Very
things.
little,
She's like,
yeah.
hey, maybe sometimes when we hang out, your best friend doesn't have to be there.
Yes.
And also maybe he will on time.
Yeah. It's
And he
very
doesn't do those
reasonable.
basic things. Like he dishes her for a date. He invites Elle to go to prom with the two of them.
Yes.
And he changes his Halloween costume to do a couple's costume with
That-
Elle instead of with her, and he doesn't tell her.
That was so embarrassing.
And he's just like, I don't get why Rachel's so mad at me. I don't understand. And Rachel's like,
it was spectacular.
and even Elle is like, why is Rachel so mad at you? And it's like,
guys, you guys, oh my gosh, you
she
two
is
are
asking the bare minimum
minimum.
of this mediocre man.
yes, and he cannot match, and she just gives him chance after chance.
After
which,
chance.
I mean, she is so nice to
She's
him.
such a fucking
Like,
saint.
she
She
is
is
an
such a
angel.
saint.
And like, I don't blame her. Like when in the second one, when they're just like, oh wait, no, it's the third one where they're like, oh, fuck, like we should break up for college or whatever. Like she should have just been like straight out, we're breaking up because you suck. Like
You are not a reliable person.
no, not even a little bit. So, oh yeah, no, he is gross. And
He's the
then
worst.
he attacks Elle for doing the same thing of like not being there for him and
Yeah.
like just like hanging out with her boyfriend all the time. Like
He is the most needy, codependent
God.
little baby, and he makes Elle
Outrageous.
cry all this. Like, look, Elle
Yes.
cries at the drop of a hat. So, like,
yes.
we'll get into that. She's also,
yes.
but like, he just makes Elle cry for stuff where she's like, "Hey, I'm maybe prioritizing my boyfriend, who I love, who happens to be your brother, who you hate."
Yeah.
And he's like, "What?" Like he's
Yeah.
shocked every
Outrageous.
time, and it's like they've
How
been
could
dating
you?
for over a year.
Yeah, it's outrageous. It's so disgusting. And I mean, okay, so that's Lee. Let's
That's
move
Lee.
on to Noah, who is Noah is like fucking Edward from Twilight, but worse because
He's
he
such a
beats the
poorly
shit
written
out of people.
character. He's such a badly written character.
He's just like, I want to protect you. I want to stop other guys from touching you because you're an innocent little flower unless it's me, and I want to be all over you. And
they have sex like literally 5 seconds after their first kiss.
Yes. It's horrendous. And like, yeah, I don't understand their relationship at all, because like it very much reminded me of After We Fell and After the After Party, and you know, all of them, and it's just like this violence. Like there's just like huge levels of violence between them, where they just literally are just conflict all the time unless they're making passionate love.
It's like I literally spent like this whole series being like, but do you like each other? Like, do you actually like one another?
Yes, because all evidence points to the opposite.
Yeah, it's like he just thinks she's very hot, and she thinks he's very hot, and that's their relationship, and they keep like trying to make it work, and it's like, but what do you have in common? Like, what do you talk about?
Like, the happiest they were, like from all relevant points, was when they were like sneaking around because it was hot.
Yeah,
both of them just love the drama. They're all about the fucking drama, and they don't want, like, when things are like normal and like happy, there's like 10 minutes in the second one where they're like, there's 10 minutes in the second one where it's like, oh, we're in a really good place right now, we're gonna need to fuck it up. Like, it's just it's spectacular. Yeah, it's the fact that like in the second one, so like half the problems that Elle causes herself in the second one is because she looks through Noah's phone. So obviously, you know, it's not all Noah. He's not a saint, but Jesus, you know, guys, this is a minor PSA for you. Don't go through your loved ones' phones. Like, there is a certain basic level of trust.
I also, going through these movies, I think the death knell of any relationship is saying, let's just drop it.
Yeah, I get you.
Because when you say let's just drop it, what you're saying is, I understand you're still upset about this, and I don't want to resolve that.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's...
And that's their whole relationship. Their whole relationship is literally a back and forth of, oh, let's just drop this. It's not a big deal. Like, their communication is so bad.
It's so shocking. It's so shocking, but it's because they just want to fight all the time. It's the only passion that they have. Like, there is no...
It's the worst.
Like, constant. There's no like level equilibrium with these two. They have to be up or they have to be really far down. There is just no calm middle.
Such a horrible relationship.
Oh my gosh, it's
like
horrendous.
You are even in After, right? All the After movies, for all their flaws, like there's incredible chemistry between the two of them. The two of them have shared interests. It's literature, which is like shaky at best, but like they have shared interests, and they have like a lot of scenes where they're getting along really well, actually. And you can see it, right? You're like, okay, they have chemistry, but like there's some trust issues, which like their relationship is not great. But like in these movies, you're like, wait, so why are you trying to stay together so hard? Like,
I don't understand why any of them want to be friends. Another. Like, none of them should be friends with each other. Like, it should just be like, right, this is, if this is clearly the first time that things like popping off in your friendship over like since you were 6, like, fine, you want to try and keep making it work, but it's clearly like a year and a half of just non-stop constant drama and aggression, and it's just not worth it. Just leave it behind, guys. Come on now. You know, and I kept thinking when I was watching this, and I was just like, Jesus, I could not imagine if my life was this stressful. And then I remembered that these people are 18, and I was like, yes, these are very 18-year-old problems. Like,
they really are.
Life or death kind of bullshit. You know, your best friends have become your enemies. It's like Game of Thrones on steroids, and
it's so bad.
It's outrageous.
As well, like, you know, I know we're shitting on these movies a lot, but I remember when I was 18 as well, and I'm sure you do too, like, you really struggle to articulate what you're feeling. And definitely. Also, you're not really prepared to deal with conflict. Like, you don't really understand how to set boundaries in relationships. You don't understand how to explain why you're hurt in a relationship. You don't understand like how to get to a resolution together. Like I completely like, I'm not saying that 18-year-old Simone would have been much better.
No, definitely not.
I was
definitely not.
But it's also important to remember that these movies are aimed towards teenagers, and it's never framed as like, oh, these two aren't communicating effectively, or these two aren't articulating their emotions correctly. It's just framed as these two people are right and they're meant to be together and they're just trying to make it work. And that's not what trying to make it work looks like.
No.
It's not an accurate representation, and I think it's actually a very irresponsible piece of
Very
media.
much so. Yes, I completely agree with you. Yeah, you shouldn't have to white knuckle through your problems. Like there is nothing tying these people together.
All of the scenes where like Ella's like, hey, I'm just really concerned about your friend, and he's like, nothing is going on, and she's like, okay, I believe you, even though she clearly doesn't, and that's the end of the conversation, are so bad.
Absolutely.
That's not how it should go at all.
Yeah, like look, I mean, we've discussed this before, and in a movie you need conflict. That's sort of how a movie works,
especially romance movies.
Yeah, but honestly, when it's so much conflict and so much drama non-stop, and it leads to just really bad communication and issues that can be solved with good communication, it is really irresponsible. And it's not a case of like, oh, you know, something that you can relate to when you're 18 and you're just like, yes, I have these problems as well. It's just really perpetuating stereotypes and making kids be like, oh, this is where my life should be. Like I should be on this level of ecstasy with who I want. But then when we fight, it's because we love each other so much. And it doesn't work.
No, absolutely not. It's hard to watch. It's really hard to watch. I wanted to ask how you felt about Marco.
Oh,
I mean, besides the fact that I'm in love with him.
Really? Okay.
He does not deserve any of the shit that he gets in these movies. Like he's treated as such a His only crimes are being hot,
which is a
being
crime.
great at guitar, being nice to Elle and helping her out with something that she says is important to her, this DDR competition.
Yeah.
She kisses him at the finals, very rightfully.
Yeah.
Up with her boyfriend, and maybe things can work out now. And then that clearly doesn't happen.
No.
Cool, you know, like I'm still in love with her, but I can like keep some and asking him to stuff, and like this poor guy is like, of course. And then she like I mean, this is a bit of spoilers, in the third movie she like, you know, pours her heart out to him, like this is all the stuff I'm dealing with, my boyfriend isn't that supportive. Why she can't talk to her boyfriend about this stuff is a red flag in itself.
Huge.
And then when he has the gall to be like, hey, I still have feelings for you, she's like, what?
How could you possibly? Goodness me, my pearls. Like, no, it is ridiculous.
This poor guy, she doesn't deserve him. He's just a sweet baby angel getting wrapped up in truly the most selfish group of people in the world.
He must have just been like, after this, he just must have been like, oh, you know what? Never white people.
Fuck.
No more. None of this. I don't need this kind of drama in my life.
This is bullshit.
Yeah. I do feel for him. Like, I like him. I think he was a bit smug in the first one. But like overall, like, you know, overall he was just delightful, and like
he's such a sweet guy.
He just wanted to have fun. Like he was just like literally with the DDR competition, he was just like, let's just have fun, you guys. Like why are we doing this so dramatic? Like, let's just have fun. Yeah, and that's the other thing with the DDR competition. Yes, I understand it's your future, you need money for college and stuff, but she's even so like, Elle is so dramatic about that too. And it's like, get a part-time job, get a real full-time job, do something else.
Take out a student.
Yeah, exactly. Like, you know, there's no need to be this like, dramatic about everything.
Options. Especially because, okay, my understanding of DDR competitions is rudimentary at best. Imagine that if you're like trying to do DDR professionally,
yes,
a machine that you can practice on
Okay.
instead of spend like the amount of quarters that they must have spent, like the
Good
amount of money they
Lord.
must have spent to practice at the arcade. Probably just saving that would have like
gone a long way.
a really long way.
Definitely. It was, yeah, look, it's the old sort of like 90s way of like solving issues. It's like, oh, we need $25,000 to save the rec home. Oh, there's a fucking dance competition down the road.
Spend $10,000.
Yeah.
Yeah, just like the absolute wild amount of privilege that Elle has and is not aware of. Like at one point, one of the characters who is in the closet, he's gay, telling her like he has a crush on this other guy, and he's like, oh, I don't know what to do. And from her point of wisdom, she's like, oh, you know, don't stop yourself from just, I know. And it's like, okay, Elle, your stupid fucking best friend contract that you wrote with your dumbass best friend is not out of the closet.
Yeah. It's vile. It's really vile.
It was an absolutely insane piece of dialogue.
It really was. It really was. And like it was cute at the end when like they made out and everything. It was really like sweet and everything. And then he looks over at Elle and it's just like, thank you so much. And Elle's just like, yeah, I did this. This was me. And it's like, you did fucking nothing. You were the worst human being on the planet. These two lovely boys are just falling in love. And you're just like claiming it for yourself. It's just like me.
Nothing to do with it. You use your own incredibly heterosexual relationship as a reference for advice.
Oh man. Oh, Elle is just they're all awful.
Worst.
They're all awful.
She's the worst.
Oh man. Okay.
Shall we talk about the third movie? Shall we get into it?
Let's move into it because we're way into time here. Like let's move on. Right. So Kissing Booth 3 comes along, and it's the summer. We basically pick up right where we left off with number 2. So you know you've got Elle. She's trying to decide between going to Berkeley and going to Harvard because she's being accepted to both, even though she's told everyone that what.
Devastating, a difficult choice.
So hard getting.
Haven't you been there too? Just choosing between two incredibly well.
To be fair, I mean, let's be honest. Like, it was no choice. You know, even though I got into other places, like it was always going to be Cape Town. Like,
it was always going to be UCT.
It's always going to be UCT. Yeah. Sorry for our Stellies listeners
Africa
out there.
guys. Sorry.
Yikes.
Yikes.
So she's got to make up this choice, even though she has told everyone that she's been waitlisted for both colleges. Eventually she decides to, you know, fuck it, let's just go to Harvard. That's where I want to be. I want to be with my boyf. We're gonna move in together and everything's gonna be golden. At the same time, Lee's family, the Flynns, have decided to sell their beach house, which everyone is fucking furious about. Like absolutely fucking just so angry about this that they're selling the beach house. Even Elle is just like Elle who fucking does not Elle who does not have.
You're not selling it.
Yeah. I loved Elle, who's not even part of the fucking conversation. She's just like, if I have an opinion, I would say don't sell it. It's like, you don't. None of you do, actually, to be fair, but you least of all, Elle. So, breathing. So they're like, okay, they want to kind of like hang out more all together, especially because like Elle knows now that she's not going to Berkeley. She still hasn't told Lee yet, but she kind of wants to, you know, try and spend as much time with him as possible before sort of like, you know, things, you know, before he finds out and everything. At the same time, Elle's father has to work sort of double, triple shifts because he has to now pay for Elle to go to college.
Harvard.
To Harvard, which understandable. And at the same time, her dad now is starting to date someone new, and this person used to know their mum as well. So Elle, because her dad is having to do the second job, has to look after her younger brother, whose name is Brad. Sorry?
also working part-time over the summer.
Yes, that too. But yeah, she has to look after her younger brother Brad, played by Carson White. So she's got like a million things to balance. Seeing Lee, seeing Noah, looking after her baby brother. Her dad's now dating someone else. It's all very complicated. She also doesn't know what she wants to do when she goes to Harvard. It's all kind of a mess. Also, at the same time, they've decided that Lee, Rachel, Noah, and herself will now move into the beach house to get it ready for the sale. So they're going to do all the painting and everything. Of course, being young students and whatever, they've decided now we're just going to party the summer away. We're going to make it the best summer ever. So as things go on, it kind of becomes more of a disaster because, you know, Noah wants to do stuff, but, you know, she's trying to service Lee's completely diabolical and all-consuming need to be around Elle all the time. Elle also makes promises that she knows she can't keep, but will do so anyway, such as going to help Noah move into Berkeley, and even though, you know, she definitely can't.
Lee move into Berkeley.
Sorry, so help Lee move into Berkeley. You know, even though she's got, you know, her younger brother to look after. But eventually, it all culminates into a situation where she and Noah no longer speak. She and Lee no longer speak. She basically fucks off her dad's new partner by saying she's not going to be one of the family ever, and that her dad's being really, really fucking selfish. And at that point, her dad is the only one who calls her out on her bullshit and is like, excuse me, I'm working a job that I hate because you want to go to college, and I also deserve happiness in my life. Doy. So things start to fall apart for our young Elle. Wah, we're really sad for her. And essentially what kind of happens is they sort of resolve the issues. You know, she goes and speaks to Noah and they like decide, maybe it's not a good idea for us to be together, but you know.
He breaks up with her. She does not decide that at all. I just want to be very clear.
Okay, fair enough. To be fair, I was not like 100% involved in this one because I was just like, by this stage, I was just
He's
like, you know what,
hey,
these people...
we've been fighting a lot. This is not fun. Let's break up.
Yes. So they break up, but she still decides to go to Harvard, doesn't she? I think. No, she goes to USC. Sorry, yes.
Well, because Molly Ringwald, who's apparently Lee and Noah's mom.
Yes.
Molly Ringwald is like, hey, but what do you actually want to study?
Yes, which is great. She's like, oh, I don't know.
I don't know. And Molly Ringwald's like, but maybe make a choice based on that instead of pleasing the men in your life.
Yes, that is probably the only good sort of message that we get out of these films by far. But yes,
so this is the last half hour of the movie.
Yes, this movie, wow. So she decides to go to USC to study game design, which is great. Very vague. Her and Lee like hang out, like they make up and everything's fine with them. And then Marco is also in the movie. That's it.
He admits that he's in love with her. He fights with Noah, but Noah's like, it's clear he's still in love with you. And she's like, oh, I don't know. And she cries.
Oh, surprise. She cries. And then basically like it cuts to like a year later, 2 years later, everyone's looking
6 years later.
Oh, was it 6 years? You would not have been able to tell.
Yeah, after they've all graduated and stuff.
Oh, okay. So they're all home and they see that the kissing booth is still a thing that's happening at the high school because it was such a great idea and everyone's super happy about it.
Horrifying.
Horrible.
In a post-COVID world.
Yes. So they decide they're like, oh, this is all lovely. And guess who's there as well is Noah. And so Noah and Elle like speak for a bit. They're like kind of like flirty and stuff. And then he goes to leave and it's a callback to the first movie because in the first movie, while he's leaving to go to Harvard and leaves on the plane, he doesn't look back. And this time he does, which indicates that things might be real between them and the end. And it's gonna be great. It's gonna be such a healthy relationship. I'm very excited for it.
Can I say, with this third movie, I've never yelled at my screen so much.
My eyes have never rolled as much as they have with this fucking movie. Good Lord. Bunch of 18-year-old brats.
They're the worst. So
Oh my
Lee,
gosh.
at the very beginning, Elle's like, oh, I've been waitlisted for the two. And she never, basically not until the end of the movie does Lee find out that she actually chose Harvard over Berkeley. She says, sorry, I got into Harvard. I'm still waitlisted at Berkeley, so I'm going to choose Harvard. And Lee is still fucking pissy with her. Like, she legit didn't get in. As far as he knows, it was not her choice. As far as he knows, she simply did her best and didn't get in. And he still acts like such a little bitch about it.
Oh, he's the worst. Like he literally runs away from the table, like dramatically runs off, and to have like a little cry about it. And you're like, oh, get the fuck over yourself.
Because surely she should be mourning. Surely she should be the one, in theory, this is all a lie, but she didn't get into her dream university that her dead mother went to. Surely she should be the one best, and it still wasn't good enough. And he
yes.
He is the worst.
Oh, he is gross. Oh, I can't stand him. I really can't. Like, you're supposed to be on his side.
Such a little bitch boy, and he has no redeeming qualities.
No. And even so he does the whole thing for his girlfriend to show how into it is, because basically Rachel and him are going to do different universities as well. And so he does this huge fucking schedule, scheduling their lives down to a T so that they can see each other on holidays and weekends and whatever.
Yeah.
And it's first of all, we all know, no matter how much we dream, university, relationships and the transition from high school to university, they're not going to last. It's not going to be a thing.
It's not
no. Especially if you're at two different schools. Good lord.
Yeah.
The breeding pool opens up quite considerably, and
he would have cheated on Rachel in about 2 seconds and then felt very sorry for himself.
Yes. Also run away crying, because how could she, the cheatee, do that to him? Because it's never his fucking fault. He's never the problem.
Nothing's his fucking fault.
Yeah. So Rachel breaks up with him, and he's like, oh, but I love you. And she's like, yeah, okay, fine.
Yeah, but I really don't want to do long distance, so.
Yeah, and also, where is the evidence that he loves her when he has been nothing but awful?
Rachel is the only sane person in this whole fucking trilogy.
Yes, Rachel is the hero of these movies, because she's just she sees there's drama and she's like, you know what, I'm a duck out. I'm gonna go home. I'm done. Thanks, guys. Thanks for the dinner, Mrs. Molly Ringwald. This has been really fun. I'm out.
And then
What? Sorry, I missed that.
Oh, sorry, Noah and Elle.
Oh yes.
So they don't like each
No.
They don't. They simply don't.
No.
They don't like each other very much at all. And then every time, in the previous movie, Elle kissed another guy. She accused Noah of cheating. He was doing no such thing, but she still kissed another guy. And then she still acts like him inviting his best friend from university, Chloe, to stuff is the same as her inviting the guy she kissed to stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
And they actually have a fight about it. Maybe this could be a cliffhanger.
Yes, good one.
Where she's like, oh, I want to invite Marco to this thing, and Noah's like, I'm actually really not comfortable with that, and she's like, well, that's a double standard because you're inviting Chloe, and he's like, no, but not. I never kissed Chloe.
Yes, absolutely.
And then she gets all huffy about it and cries.
Yes.
And then later they're at the bar and she's like, let's just drop it.
Yeah, even though it's your fucking fault.
It's
and
your fault.
Yeah, that is the biggest gaslight of the whole fucking movie, and there is tons of gaslighting in this. It's unbelievable.
Noah's actually a good guy in this movie. Yes. Actually.
Yes, surprisingly, he doesn't even Marco full-on swacks him in the face. It was a whack, and Noah's like, you know what? You're not worth this. I ain't gonna do this, and he walks away. And I was like, yeah. Good on you.
The only time that I did not like Noah was when I hate when dudes do this. He's like, Marco clearly has a crush on you and everyone knows except you, and it's embarrassing.
Yes,
it's embarrassing.
Don't do that. That's really it's gross.
If Rudy said that to me,
It's over. That's grounds. That's grounds.
I mean, I wouldn't break up with him because, like, you know, we've been
You
together for a
live
very
together.
long time. But I would be like, I want you to think about what you just said to me, and we can regroup.
Be very careful, counselor.
Yeah. Like, yeah.
Which is another
they're a
thing.
horrible couple. They're a
They're
horrible
awful.
couple. And then every time Elle fucks up,
Mhm.
Noah's like, oh, I need to fight for her. And then he does some romantic gesture.
And she just fucks off with Lee. Like, she
Yeah.
does not give a shit. Yeah, no, absolutely. And like, what really bugs me, right? Okay, more than anything with Noah's character, he's in Harvard, right? I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure they've got shit to do over the summer. Like, I'm sorry. You go to Harvard. You're not like, you know.
Go to Harvard. Your classmates are like feeding communities in Ghana.
Yeah, exactly. Like, it's not, you know, I mean, yes, you're very rich. We understand it. And yes, you're very handsome and white. So you probably don't have to do that stuff and you'll be fine.
Yeah.
Daddy's law firm will get you to where you need to go.
You're paying the full tuition to go to Harvard. You're not on scholarship.
Yeah, you'll be fine, I guess. But also, like, I'm sure he's got some reading to do. Like, I'm pretty sure he's got some form of work to do, and he's just like, nah, I'm a fucking beach house, this shit, fuck everyone. And like, everything's gold for him. Like, fuck this guy, fuck them all. They're all awful. I can't stand a single one of them.
They're all the worst. And my worst, the scene that I screamed at the most was when, you know, Noah sorts out this whole romantic evening with her at the restaurant after Elle has a breakdown and like vents to Marco about it instead of to her boyfriend who's supposed to be like her support system, or her best friend who's supposedly supposed to be her support system. And yet we do not see him support her once in the whole trilogy. No. But then, like, you know, he sets up some candles and plays Time After Time and they slow down. And then he's like, I'm gonna fight for you. And she's like, I'm gonna fight for you. And I was like screaming. I was like, but you don't like each other.
No, it's very clear you don't. You just find each other hot, and clearly the sex must be good. Like, otherwise, what's the point? Yeah. Unbelievable. No, they should just, you know what? She's going to USC. Like, they went to USC. Like,
I was glad when they broke up. I was very glad.
It was very,
like,
very
actually, this is the one redeeming factor of this whole fucking trilogy.
And like the post everything scene where like they're, you know, finish university and they come back to town. Fine. Do a revertigo bang, just like fuck each other, but don't date again. Guys, you don't like each other. Just fuck and then leave. It's fine.
Could we also talk about how let's just talk about this now.
Okay.
Elle is trying to choose between two very prestigious universities.
Yes.
Does she weigh up what the major that she's interested in looks like at those two universities? No. Does she weigh up what careers like? No. When Molly Ringwald is like, hey, what do you want to study? She's like, lots of people figure out what they want to study when they're at college. This is why you guys have so much college debt.
Yes.
In South Africa, when you join university, you apply to a specific degree, and that's the degree you fucking do. We don't have fucking electives. No, absolutely not. It's you know what? This is the problem, and this is why schools over there in the US have like these prestigious names and shit, is because it's tied to the name of the school you go to, not to the degree that you're doing. Which is nuts. Bullshit. I mean, yes, I get that at the beginning of this section we said, you know, UCT or die, but the difference still is like we went to UCT. Yes, great, best university in Africa. But we also knew that the course was going to be incredible, and we chose our courses specifically for that. You know, it wasn't the other way around. And that is bonkers to be like, yes, Harvard, and then I'll do whatever. No, bonkers, nuts. Stop it. And then, so the worst part is, you know, Molly Ringwald's like, maybe you should choose a university based off of what you're interested in doing. And I was like, what?
Yeah, this is a revelation to her. It's fantastic.
So she tries to go for video game design. Christ. And it just so happens that one of the judges of the DDR competition that she won was a professor of like game design and other shit.
Yeah.
so she goes to talk to her and she gets an interview. Again, this intense amount of privilege. Like she's literally
Yes.
applying for this university at the USC at the last minute.
Yeah.
And then,
Spectacular.
okay, game design, I also want to say, is a very broad topic. Are
Yeah.
you the person actually designing? Are you doing character design? Are you doing landscape design? Are you doing script writing? Are you doing the score? Are you doing the actual game mechanics? Are you doing the development? Are you doing the
Simone.
textures? Like game design
Simone,
is
it's
such
game
a
design.
crazy. Are you the project manager actually like pitching the concept and then managing the project? Like
you're
game
overthinking
design
this,
is such a
Simone.
very
You're overthinking this. It's
It's
just
such
game
a-
design. It's game design is
It's
game
just game
design,
design.
Simone. Game design is
just
game
game
design.
We've never
You know,
seen
what
Elle
platform?
design a single thing. She doesn't
No.
code. She doesn't draw. She doesn't
But she likes
like
gaming.
3D model
She
things.
loves gaming. And she's pretty good at
And she starts a
Simone,
podcast about gaming.
Simone, she's
That's not
pretty
even
good at
podcast.
gaming. Like, let's be fair. She's pretty
And she
good at
wins a
gaming.
DDR competition.
Yeah. Like, if that's not qualification enough, like, come on. Come on. I think you're being
And
a bit
then-
unfair here, Simone.
And then, okay, so like if you're doing like design, like game design, like character design or whatever,
Mm.
then you need to submit a portfolio. And this portfolio
Yes.
would have to reflect work that you've done over your high school
Yes.
years at least. She does not submit a portfolio from what I can see.
No, she does not.
She does one interview where, where for a degree, they're like, pitch us a video game idea.
Which is stunning. It's just like the vaguest thing, which actually works because it's as vague as the degree itself. Like, what is
Like,
what is
I
video
can
game?
pitch
Yeah.
you a fucking video game idea. Do I get to study video game design?
Yeah, apparently that is all it takes. Incredible. I'm really pissed off actually because I was like, okay, so this is how it's gonna tie in with Kissing Booth. I was like, okay, it's gonna make sense. Like she's gonna do a Kissing
Yeah,
Booth
she's
video
gonna
game.
pitch some sort of kissing booth game.
And then it wasn't that at all. It was just some other
No.
bullshit that I can't even remember because it was so
Thinking about
unmemorable.
fantasy esports, which is such bullshit.
Yeah, like she needs to calm down. Like fuck this. Okay,
And
real
then
shout on this movie. Like, okay, yes, no. Do the final shittening, and
Sorry.
then we do need to
Very
actually
last
say
shittening.
something nice about this.
and then they do the 6-year time skip, which is the most comical thing ever. So
Yes.
Leah and Rachel have actually gotten back together. Their love transcended time. Rachel's still
Insane.
apparently incredibly patient.
Yeah.
And they're getting married soon. And so like Rachel and Lee and Elle are like at the carnival. She's cut her hair short because she's a designer now. Even though later in the dialogue he's like, oh, you're developing your own game. So is she a coder? Is she a designer?
Yeah, what does she do? She does game design. Her
But anyway, she got her
title on
dream
business card
job
is game
straight
design.
out of university. So good for her.
Spectacular work. She must have been really good at game design. Like
I hate
game
her.
design 101, she did really well. Game design 202,
Yeah, and then she got a
incredibly
dream
well.
job.
And then she got a dream job.
And she's
It was
making her
fine.
own game straight out of university. That's
Yeah.
great. That's how it works.
All by
That's
herself.
how the world
That's
works.
how it works. Yeah.
In LA.
Free,
And then,
free.
so she's there with her friends, and they run into Noah because apparently Lee had no idea that his own brother and there
to be fair,
Apparently,
because they
they
hate each other so
have had
much.
no contact
No,
in the last 6 years.
Like they went off to college. And they were just like, fuck you. I'm never gonna see you again. I hate you with like a deep, deep passion. I hate you so much. I do not want to hear from you. If mom dies, I want to find out from dad. Do not touch me. Do not contact me. I do not give a fuck. If you have a child, I don't want to know about it. Like that is how much they hate each other. 6 years. They don't know that they're going to be in the same town.
And Noah apparently decided to take a stroll to the carnival in his suit.
By himself. It's great.
By himself. Did he just come from work? No, he's currently choosing between two very competitive job offers. So he was just wearing his suit.
He was just hanging out. That's what he does best. That's what he's about. He's just there. He was just like, you know
He's
what?
at the carnival. I can't.
You know what I really feel like after my interview with that giant New York firm? I want some candy floss and a hot dog on a stick. These are the
I'm not
things.
gonna change into a more comfortable outfit before I go.
And it was there at the end, the kissing booth. Beautiful. Life just
Fuck you.
life is so cyclical and beautiful. It's
And then the worst part is the ending scene. They're riding their motorbikes down Camps Bay Drive, let's be honest.
yes.
And she's like, and this all happened because
And you're just like, how fucking dare you? How dare you? That is a lie. It happened because you're toxic. That's why it happened. Okay.
Let's say nice things.
Let's try and say nice things. Tell me something. Give me a golden nugget. What is the golden nugget for any of these films? You've got 3 to choose from, and I just want one from one of them.
It's, the montages were very fun.
Yes.
The montage where she's practicing to win the DDR competition with Margot, very fun. The montage where they're trying to have the best summer ever with their beach bucket list, super fun. Again, they're very rich, so they just casually did skydiving.
Yeah, of course. When you have that money.
What else? You know what? Always nice seeing how beautiful Cape Town is. I could spot every single background. I was like,
it was spectacular.
The waterfront. That's Hout Bay. That's
it was great. It was Sea
Bay.
Point. Yeah. It was awesome to see little parts of home. It was really, really lovely. Yeah.
Oh, was it nice? I actually meant to ask, like, was it
fun
for you?
It's always fun for me to see these little parts and be like, oh yeah, I've been there, and like have a little bit of a giggle when they park on Smuts on Smuts Avenue, and it's like, oh, you're gonna get a ticket.
Also, because they're trying to make it American, they drive the wrong way down one ways quite often.
Yes.
Like there's a great scene, I think, in the second movie where they're driving into the parking lot between Smuts and Fuller.
Yeah.
And there are very clear yellow arrows pointing the opposite direction.
Yeah. And they're just fucking
it.
It's just like, it's great. It's really fun. Yeah, like for me, I don't know, man. I mean, I think I really enjoyed like the cathartic bits at the end of the third one, like where Lee paints over the childhood home, that kind of thing. I really enjoyed like the party scenes because like they were really quite realistic as well. Like, people getting way too drunk and things. And you know what? In a weird way, it was really nice to see like the friendships between like the external non-first tier characters,
I agree.
Which was really lovely to see. And like it was cool to have that sort of relationship. It wasn't just, the movie was predominantly about these 3 horrible people, but you also had like a lot of backstory between like the gay characters who like finally fell in love, the jock guy who's actually really sensitive, all these lovely little side details that you would have missed. And it's just, it was really special. Like little bits.
That's true. That's true. I think the side characters actually really brought it together.
Definitely.
Molly Ringwald was a shining light of reasonableness.
Yes, absolutely. She just completely like just blew up Elle's world in the best possible way.
But Elle, what do you want to study?
What do you want to study? Don't do it for the boys.
And Elle's like, what?
I have choice. I have free roam.
What?
What is this crazy? My pearls. So would you recommend any of these movies?
I think because we were watching them in a reviewing capacity, it's very easy for us to shit on. But if you want to take your brain out for a day, if you just want to watch some silly teen drama and remember that time, or maybe you still are a teen, remember that time where you didn't know how to articulate what you were feeling, where everything was very overwhelming, where truly if a man with abs like that even spoke to you, you wouldn't know what to do.
No.
I think these are those movies.
Definitely.
I actually would probably recommend to all the boys I loved before. I find them a little bit more charming and wholesome. But I think these are entertaining in their own way. It's not highbrow. It's definitely not something you should take as relationship advice.
No.
but they're fun. They're cute. The
Yeah.
lighting in the third one is a nightmare. So I
Yes.
wouldn't recommend watching that. Like, I don't know about you. I was watching on my laptop and I kept checking if the screen, like if my laptop came unplugged or something,
Yeah.
because
Yeah, it
literally
was
in the
really
same
dim.
scene between cuts, it would suddenly go from very dark to very light. Yeah, the editing was just very poor in the third one. So
Yeah.
would not recommend that.
I would agree. Like I would definitely recommend the first two at least. You know, you could if you don't have time for the third one, just give it a skip. That's absolutely fine. But like the first two are they're horrible films. Like these are horrible people.
Yeah.
But you know what? It is entertaining. You know, in the same way as like you don't watch NASCAR for the speed in the race. You watch NASCAR for the car crashes. Like let's
drama.
be honest. Yeah. And it's the same thing. You watch these movies for that reason.
And I will say that I think the ending of the third one was redeeming in a lot of ways. Like, I think if her and Noah had stayed together, if she had never confronted Lee for being such a fucking baby, then it would have been a lot harder to watch. But you know, I like the fact that her and Noah don't stay together. I like the fact that Lee's girlfriend breaks up with him. I like the fact that she's like, Lee, you're being a fucking child. I think if anything, he could have used more of that in the last couple of movies and maybe more after the last couple of movies. But I like that happened. I think Noah should have ended up with Chloe.
Ooh.
She was so good for him.
I agree.
She was so good for him. She was much less insecure as well.
Yes.
Because like Noah actually wasn't that insecure. Like, I guess he was pretty jealous with Marco, and he was very aggressive,
but he's still like,
which I don't love.
Calmed down a lot. Like he still calmed down a shit ton by the third one.
And like a lot of like the second movie, he was just like, Elle, I'm not fucking cheating on you.
Yeah, exactly.
And she's like, okay.
What if you are?
And there's Chloe like just giving really reasonable advice the whole time and just being like incredible. I think he and Chloe actually would have done really well together. I think they were actual friends and they actually liked each other.
Yeah, absolutely. But they should like that would have been a good ending if like, you know, they all end up somehow at the carnival and Chloe is just like, yeah, you know, we're like Chloe's there as well and Noah's just like, yeah, we're together. She's pregnant. We're married.
We were best friends for a long time and now we're together and it's a really solid, not toxic relationship where she questions me all the time and cries constantly.
And goes through my phone. She has not once ever gone through my phone because, you know, we're adults and mature and this isn't ridiculous. Yes. Well, on that note, thank you so much, Simone. I have thoroughly enjoyed this week.
We had to do this eventually.
We did. And honestly, like my cheeks hurt from smiling over the ridiculousness of the movies. So I couldn't be happier.
I'm glad that we could at least vent about it together. Yes. That was the shining light at the end of the tunnel for me as I was watching these movies and I was like, I cannot wait to bother chat about this.
Definitely. We would text each other the whole time and just be like, wow, this is these people
the worst people in the world.
Yeah. So Simone, after the darkness comes the lights. So tell me, what are you grateful for this week? What is your gratitude?
What am I grateful for this week? What am I grateful for? You know what we did this weekend? Had a very busy couple weeks with a lot of like relatives visiting and things happening. So I was very specifically like, Rudy, we're taking this weekend. We're not making plans like explicitly. But what we did do is we bought some really nice sourdough, some good cheese, and a bunch of sandwich ingredients, and we made like
That's awesome.
It was so good. So
That's
I think my gratitude is maybe just like a really good sandwich that you've put thought into.
Yes.
You know?
The bread is lovely and different. The garnish is awesome. The sauces, everything that you do to it.
Good mustard, good cheese. I even got a vegetarian ham.
Ooh, nice. Was it good?
It was good. Yeah. I mean,
that's awesome.
Yeah, it was fine. I've the thing is I've been so conditioned to sandwiches without ham that I actually don't know what to do when ham is included now. I was like, oh, this is a whole new mystery thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think I'm just grateful for a great sandwich.
Nice. I mean, you can't go wrong with a hearty sandwich. Like it just does change your life. So I completely agree with you. Yeah.
What about you?
Oh, it seems like it's the slovenly weekend for both of us, Simone, because I also, you know, after like the last 2 weeks of moving and still having to work and do all this kind of crap, like it was actually like the first weekend that I've actually been able to chill. My couch arrived this week, so I actually had a lovely
Yes.
couch. So my girlfriend and I, we just literally camped out on the couch all weekend, watching movies, playing PlayStation, and I'm just so grateful for a rest. It was so nice to just breathe after a really,
Yeah,
really stressful period in my life.
absolutely.
And I'm just very, very happy to have that time off and just
Yay.
decompress, you know, and just, yeah. So I'm in a much more zen space and I feel very good about it. I'm very happy.
Yay, I'm so glad.
Yeah, me too. So Simone, that gladness that you feel, get ready to,
Oh God.
it's about to be knocked out the park. So
This is revenge.
I really loved your idea of a trilogy, Simone. And there was a trilogy that recently came out that that one could say was a little bit boss. One could say baby. You know, I never call you that, but one could say baby, that it's quite boss. Oh, and that reminds me of the name of it. Simone, next week we're going to be doing the Boss Baby trilogy.
I didn't even know there was a third one.
It's literally like just come out. Like it's came out in like the last month.
Okay. Okay. That's fine.
I'm sorry to do it to you, Simone, but you know it was gonna happen. It was gonna happen. I'm not like overly upset about it, but I'm like I feel for you. I do see your face, and I am sorry about it a little bit. So you've got the Boss Baby from 2017, then the Boss Baby Back in Business, and then finally the Boss Baby Family Business, which just came out. It's gonna be okay.
Thrilled.
Oh,
it's gonna be fun.
It's gonna be a lot of fun. It's gonna be fun. Well, guys, thank you so much for listening. We really do appreciate you. Simone doesn't appreciate me anymore. She's done with my bullshit. But thank you so much for listening. We do hope you enjoyed this episode. Tell us what you think of the Boss Baby trilogy. Tell us what you guys thought of the Kissing Booth trilogy. What sort of trilogies are you watching now that Halloween is done? And tell us all of these things. And where can they do that, Simone?
I'm like, people who don't watch YouTube, I'm like literally wiping tears from
She
my
is literally wiping tears.
Okay. They can talk to us on Facebook or Instagram at Fresh Tomatoes Podcast. On Twitter at Fresh Tomatoes MP. They can email us at freshtomatoespodcast@gmail.com. Send help.
Yeah, Simone needs to leave now. She needs to get out of here. It's not a good place for her anymore. And as we say at the end of every episode, we love you and there's nothing you can do about it.
We love you and there's nothing you can do about it.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.